Manchester City fans, the transfer window has only just opened, and the sky blue world is already buzzing with news that promises to stir the hearts of the supporters. There are moves behind the scenes, decisions made directly between players and manager Pep Guardiola, reinforcements arriving, youngsters aiming to shine in decisive moments, and a rapidly evolving future at the Etihad Stadium. Today, you're going to get the full picture, not just headlines, but insights that reveal what's truly happening inside the most dominant club of recent years. Let's start with the topic sparking the most debate among the fan base: the future of goalkeeper Ederson. After years of spectacular saves, countless trophies, and performances that defined an era, the Brazilian has decided he's ready for a new challenge. According to reliable sources close to the club, Ederson has already had a personal conversation with Guardiola and made it clear that he's open to ending his time at Manchester City this summer. What was once speculation has now become a reality. However, this decision didn't come out of the blue. Ederson and Pep had already discussed the possibility of a departure months ago, and a pact was made. If a fair and beneficial offer arrived for all parties, the player would be allowed to leave. Interestingly, Ederson isn't unhappy at the club. Far from it. He still feels valued and respected, but he understands that his cycle may be coming to an end, and perhaps it's time to seek something new, especially considering the increasingly strong interest from Saudi Arabian clubs. Al Ittihad, for example, is currently the frontrunner in the race to sign the goalkeeper. Other Saudi teams are also closely monitoring the situation. It's worth remembering that there were attempts last year, but the proposal wasn't satisfactory. Now, with Ederson more open to listening, anything could happen, especially after the Club World Cup, a tournament in which he still wants to represent City with determination before any official farewell. But what if Ederson really does leave? The club already has a plan. Diogo Costa of Porto has emerged as the primary target for the goalkeeping position. He's young, talented, and has already shown he's ready to make the leap to a more competitive league. However, City are not in a rush. The Portuguese board and the player himself are open to dialogue, which could give the English club the breathing room it needs to negotiate calmly, something that rarely happens during Europe's hectic transfer windows. Meanwhile, another key move reflects the club's new strategy: focus on the future. Manchester City have just completed the signing of Mohamedou Sangaré, a young striker who stood out in PSG's youth academy. At only 18 years old, he scored no fewer than 42 goals in 46 matches for Paris's U19 side. A performance that caught attention not just for the sheer number of goals, but for its consistency and more. The boy turned down a professional contract from PSG to sign with City. That says a lot. He's signed a 5-year deal and has already passed all the necessary medical exams. As of 1st July, he'll be officially available to Guardiola and his staff. Even if he isn't integrated into the first team straight away, the plan is clear. Develop him within the club's structure, whether through training or carefully planned loans. This is the building of a new generation, and he's not the only one. Sarah Nippon, an 18-year-old Norwegian midfielder, is also on his way. With talent recognized internationally, Nippon was being targeted by both Arsenal and Aston Villa. Martin Odegaard even got involved in attempts to bring him to London, but City won the battle and secured a direct deal with Rosenborg for $12.5 million. No complicated clauses, no future sale percentages, everything resolved directly. Nippon will still be sent out on loan and, surprisingly, won't be heading to Girona as many expected. The board's priority is to place him in a club where he can get regular minutes and develop consistently. No rush, no pressure. Just the strategic planning that has become Manchester City's hallmark in recent years. If you're already impressed by what's going on behind the scenes, take a breath, there's more. With the Club World Cup fast approaching, 3 players in particular know they've got a golden opportunity to prove their worth to Guardiola. The first is Phil Foden. After brilliant seasons and being named PFA Player of the Year, Foden's form dipped and he lost ground. Now, with fierce competition, especially following Cherki's arrival, he needs to show he can still be a key piece in Pep's tactical setup. Next up is Oscar Bob. After suffering a serious injury early last season, the young talent saw his opportunities dwindle. Before that, he was hailed as one of the academy's brightest prospects, even scoring a stunning goal against Newcastle. Now the Club World Cup is more than a tournament. It's a second chance. A stage to prove he deserves a bigger role in the first team. And let's not forget Abdulador Kuzanov. The defender, signed in January, made his debut against Chelsea, but it was marked by a costly mistake that sidelined him ever since. Guardiola chose to take him out of the spotlight to focus on improving his tactical understanding and, above all, his command of English. The Club World Cup could be a turning point for Kuzanov if he shows progress and composure. At this very moment, Manchester City are being shaped with a clear vision to remain on top in the present and build a strong foundation for the future. Guardiola, despite rumors of tension with the board over prioritizing the Club World Cup, seems focused on every detail, from squad retention to the integration of new talents. City are executing one of the most strategic transfer windows in recent years. Targeted reinforcements, heavy investment in youth, and a firm stance on departures. No decision has been rushed. Every move appears calculated with surgical precision, typical of a club that's mastered domination not only on the pitch, but also at the negotiation table. And speaking of moves, the market isn't closed yet. City are planning one more signing in the coming weeks. A right-back. The name hasn't been revealed, but what's certain is that it'll be someone capable of competing for the position immediately. The board are in the final stages of their analysis and already preparing the official offer. It will be the 5th confirmed signing, another clear sign that the club isn't leaving anything to chance against their rivals. With the prospect of yet another signing, this time focused on the defensive line, Manchester City's engine continues to operate at full throttle. Everything fits together like a grand strategic puzzle. The possible departure of Ederson opens the door to new narratives within the squad, and every player, from the most seasoned veteran to the youngest talent, seems to be aware that they're being closely watched. Nothing goes unnoticed when Guardiola is at the helm. What stands out even more this season is the way the club is balancing investment in ready-made players with calculated bets on youngsters who, at other clubs, might have remained forgotten prospects. The arrival of Sangaré, for instance, is no mere coincidence. The striker's decision to turn down his first professional contract with Paris Saint-Germain reveals more than just a change of teams. It shows that Manchester City's project has real power to persuade, even in the face of Europe's footballing giants. It's this kind of decision that strengthens the club's identity. Players like Sangaré know that at City, it's not just about wearing a prestigious shirt. It's about being part of a system that offers structure, methodology, and above all, a clear pathway for growth. This explains why so many youngsters from different countries are choosing Manchester as their destination. Nipan, for example, is another who has been drawn in by this project. And the fact that Odegaard couldn't convince him to join Arsenal speaks volumes about the weight City now carries on the European stage. At just 18 years old, the Norwegian knows he still has much to learn, and being in a controlled environment with clear goals and high-level coaching could make all the difference in his development. What's most curious is that, contrary to what many think, these young players are not being signed merely as future sell-on investments. Manchester City's aim is to develop a strong foundation that, in a few years, can maintain a high level without relying on high-profile market names. It's what Bayern tried to do for years, what Barcelona achieved with La Masia in their golden era, and now City is attempting to replicate, with one key difference: planning from the base all the way to the top. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the Ederson situation is heating up. Even with Guardiola publicly stating that he hopes to count on his 2 main goalkeepers next season, the reality is that important decisions are being made behind closed doors. The direct conversation between Pep and Ederson shows respect, but also signals that the club won't be caught off guard if the Brazilian decides to leave. The Club World Cup, in fact, plays a central role in this outcome. Ederson, despite considering a departure, wants to end this chapter on a high. He knows this could be his final tournament in a City shirt, and the goal is to give everything he has, perhaps not as an official farewell, but certainly a symbolic one. It's hard to picture the Etihad goal without Ederson's commanding presence, but every era must come to an end, and for him, that end may be closer than ever. On the other hand, Ortega's situation is also beginning to attract attention. Should the German also choose to leave, something not yet confirmed but being discussed behind the scenes, the club will have to act more quickly than initially planned. Diogo Costa is the main candidate, but other goalkeepers have already started being discreetly monitored. City's scouting department doesn't operate on just one option, and that's what makes the club even more prepared. Returning to the Club World Cup, Guardiola's approach to the team's preparation is telling. Despite rumors suggesting the manager doesn't value the competition highly, his actions speak louder. The squad selection, intense training sessions, and demand for results all indicate that the title is indeed a priority. After all, winning an international trophy, even one less prestigious than the Champions League, bolsters the club's image in emerging markets such as the United States and Asia. For players like Foden, Bob, and Kuzanov, this is a golden opportunity, each with their own story, their own scars, and their own goals. Foden, trying to prove he's still the golden boy many saw years ago. Bob, fighting to get his career back on track after injury. And Kuzanov, seeking redemption after a shaky and heavily criticized start. They all know, at City, the opportunities are there, but they're ruthless. Those who don't seize them are swiftly overtaken, and it's into this competitive environment that Sangaré and Nipan are about to step. Even if they're not initially included in the first team, they will be closely monitored. Every training session, every loan spell, every conversation with the coaches earns points. Guardiola often says talent is just the starting point. Mentality is what defines a player's destiny at Manchester City. And if these youngsters grasp that early, they could indeed become leading figures sooner than expected. From a tactical standpoint, the club is also preparing for a possible shift in style. The arrival of players like Rayan Cherki, Ait Nouri, and Reinders suggests that Guardiola is searching for a new identity in midfield and on the flanks. More versatile players, capable of attacking and defending with equal intensity, fit perfectly into the manager's philosophy, and this could mean major tactical changes as early as next season. The squad set to compete in the Club World Cup is a snapshot of this transition, a mix of youth and experience, new talents alongside familiar faces, and more than that, a team that appears determined to prove it still hungers for titles, even after so many recent successes. The group's mentality is clear. Every match is a final, every tournament an opportunity. Whether it's Ederson saying goodbye with one last dazzling performance, Foden reclaiming his place, or Sangaré beginning his journey at the club, the moment is critical. Manchester City is at a turning point, and the days ahead could define not just the course of the season, but the tone of a new era. And as with every new era, it all begins with choices, and Manchester City is making decisions that go far beyond the pitch. The club's recruitment and restructuring policy is a direct response to the current state of world football, an environment where long-term planning is worth just as much as immediate trophies. Guardiola understands this, and more than that, he puts this idea into practice with precision. The current transfer window is a clear reflection of this mindset. Unlike other European giants who often spend fortunes on already established stars, City operates with quiet determination, going to the market with focus, monitoring rising talents, and offering solid sporting projects, something that carries great weight when these athletes decide to make Manchester their new home. Sangaré and Nipan are not isolated cases. They are part of a much larger mechanism. That mechanism also helps explain what's happening with some of the squad's more experienced names. Ederson's potential departure, while impactful, has been subtly prepared for. Internally, the club has always treated this scenario with calmness and foresight. The Brazilian's cycle at City has been victorious, intense, and above all, respectable. But no cycle lasts forever, and the board knows that. The focus now is on ensuring the transition happens smoothly, without technical or emotional disruptions. That's precisely why the name Diogo Costa hasn't emerged by chance. The Porto goalkeeper represents a blend of youth and international experience, technical ability, and composure. He's not just seen as Ederson's replacement, but possibly the new face of Manchester City's defense for years to come. And with the club's support structure behind him, there's a strong chance this vision will materialize. While the behind-the-scenes activity continues, on the pitch the atmosphere is one of total focus. The FIFA Club World Cup is approaching and, although often seen as a secondary tournament by many, inside the City dressing room the approach is very different. Guardiola demands intensity. He knows that, to keep the hunger for victory alive, every competition must be treated as if it's the last. In that context, some players need now more than ever to prove they deserve to stay. Oscar Bob, for instance, is a textbook example of a talent at risk of being forgotten if he doesn't seize the moment. A serious injury was a harsh blow, but now he has the chance to show he's back, and better than before. Guardiola has always valued resilient players who overcome setbacks through quiet hard work and dedication. Bob can be one of those names, but the time to act is now. Abdullador Kuzanov, meanwhile, faces perhaps the most delicate challenge. After committing an error in his debut against Chelsea, he was temporarily sidelined for an adjustment period. Now, with the Club World Cup on the horizon, the defender has the opportunity to turn the page. But time is short, and pressure is high. Guardiola might offer another chance, but not out of kindness. It will be on merit. On another front, Phil Foden is trying to rewrite his narrative at the club. After some remarkable seasons, the attacking midfielder has seen his importance wane. This is partly due to the rise of new talents and partly to a slight dip in form. Now, with Cherki arriving, who plays in similar areas, the pressure is mounting. Foden not only needs to play well, but remind Guardiola and the world why he was once considered one of English football's brightest prospects. At the same time, the new signings from this window are beginning to slot into the team's tactical system. Cherki brings creativity, unpredictability, and the ability to break down defenses with short dribbles. Reinders adds dynamism and strong game intelligence to the midfield. Ait Nouri strengthens the left flank with pace and defensive cover. All of them are here to raise the collective standard and provide Guardiola with fresh tactical options. And, of course, there's the intangible factor, mentality. Manchester City isn't just building a competitive squad, they're cultivating a winning culture that endures. Sangaré already embodies that spirit before even making his debut. Rejecting a professional contract with PSG, where many youngsters grow complacent due to status, and choosing a more demanding project at City is a clear statement of ambition. The same goes for Nipan. By choosing City over clubs offering immediate minutes, he showed he understands the value of structured growth. That's the kind of mentality Guardiola values, because ultimately, talent without the right mindset won't sustain a career at the top. Meanwhile, the board remains on high alert in the transfer market. A deal for a new right-back could be finalized at any moment. The profile is clear. Someone ready to compete for the position, offering defensive consistency and tactical versatility, especially in matches that demand high pressing and rapid transitions. The name remains under wraps, but negotiations are progressing quickly. Guardiola wants the full squad assembled before the Premier League kicks off. City fans, on their part, are watching all of this unfold with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. After all, it's not every day that a club that has won so much in recent years continues to push for constant renewal. While other teams rest on their laurels after success, Manchester City always seems one step ahead, planning the future while dominating the present. And if this pace continues, the club could be building not just a promising season, but a whole new era of dominance. The key player changes, the emphasis on homegrown development, the surgical management of departures, and the seamless integration of high-potential reinforcements all show that there's a strategy in motion, and it's being executed with precision. If you've made it this far, it means you truly love following every detail of Manchester City's inner workings. And if this content kept you informed, from potential exits to rising prospects, to spot-on signings and Guardiola's bold plans, then you know how important it is to stay updated. So go ahead and hit the like button on this video. It really helps the channel keep bringing you exclusive, direct, and no-nonsense content about the club we all follow with such passion. And if you're not yet subscribed, now's the time. Click the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any updates about City, be it transfers, matches, behind-the-scenes info, or in-depth analysis. Manchester City doesn't stop, and neither do we. Until next time.